Hey guys, welcome to Spiritual Journey. My name is Colleen Jorgensen, and I'm finally back. I think it's been a while. Have taken a little extra time to do things that are just popping up, right? As many of us have been doing in the last month or so, we could have been caught up in some sort of affair or felt like we were just spinning our wheels trying to get through a certain issue. So now we've come to the end of August when things begin to really set in motion a series of events that we go through every year as the sun enters Virgo. We start to get organized, go back to school. We start to look and enroll in activities, both for our children and ourselves as adults. And we start to get schedules and we start to get organized in our day-to-day lives and back to the routine of things, which is the sign of Virgo. So Virgo is going to trigger, especially because of the new moon that's happening in the early hours tomorrow morning at 8 minutes after midnight at 00 degrees of Virgo, 23 minutes. And then we're just entering eclipse season as well. So what's going to happen here is we have 00 degrees of Virgo, and then September we enter eclipse season. And then we have our final new moon in Virgo at 29 degrees. So we're kind of bracketed by this, the beginning of Virgo and the end of Virgo. So issues surrounding the labor force, the labor workforce, the service industry, the practical needs of day-to-day living are going to become important factors as we transverse all the way from the end of August all the way till the end of September. And that is going to be an eclipse on the 21st of September. So we need to be aware of the Virgo energy and how it kind of plays into our lives. And all of us work with Virgo because we are doing those day-to-day chores that are a necessity, paying the bills, cleaning the house, taking out the trash, being of service by cooking those meals or tending to a loved one. So this new moon is sort of like the beginning of something new because it's fresh at 00 degrees. And many of the planets are sitting in the early part of new signs. Pluto's in the new sign of Aquarius. Uranus is in the new sign of Gemini. Saturn and Neptune are sitting together and they are in the new sign of Aries. So we've got a lot of fresh energy that is beginning and surfacing. And I really kind of feel like this portion or this time is really plugged into the meaning of the new moon, which is planting new seeds, fresh beginnings, new plans, new intentions, a new agenda emerging, and us really striving to get rid of the things that are of no value to us anymore, and for us to really tap into organizing our lives in some fashion. Now, Virgo is a precise sign. It's a very detail orientated. And with a lot of Virgos, sometimes they'll even correct the wordage because they're very much about information ruled by Mercury. So they'll even correct your sentence by saying, well, what you mean to say is an I instead of a but, or was instead of were. So they're really scrutinizing a lot of things and they're really seeking perfection in how we talk, how we dress, perfection in how we enact ourselves into society. So when they do a job, Virgo 90% of the time does a really good job. Now you're going to say, well, I have a Virgo friend and they're really messy. But when they do get around to cleaning that mess up, they do it with such precision and such organization that you would never know that there had been a mess there. They're very methodical in their application of doing things. So Virgo also is about the healthcare system. And we have this eclipse season landing on the health system with Pisces and the axis of that health system with Pisces and Virgo. And it's about ancient wisdom, how we heal ourselves through our food, herbology, herbs, uh, alternative ways, or what are considered to be alternative ways of medicines. And it's very holistic in its approach. So it throws back to that ancient wisdom, the little woman out in the forest that you would go to seek her healing capabilities, or the shaman or the medicine man. So this really taps into maybe approaching our health in a different manner and a different way, and how we seek to heal ourselves in a more holistic, natural way. Virgo can be extremely negative and extremely critical in its approach as it examines every detail to figure out if this is workable or if it's just a bunch of nonsense. Because Virgo is one of the earth signs which really rules practicality and common sense. So it really wants to put things in a logical, sensible order. So this moon is really tapping into the beginning of something emerging. And it's also going to maybe start this emergence next year as the South Node collides with this new moon at 00 degrees of Virgo between June 30th and July 26th of 2026. So this could be the actual releasing and letting go and actually stepping in to how we want to organize our life now. And so we could really see significant shifts in looking after ourselves personally, health-wise, but also in the healthcare system itself. Our approach to healing can be shifting, and there's this big adjustment that happens here, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. So Virgo is also about being of service to other people. We need the service of the basic everyday needs, like cleaning the banks or cleaning businesses, the police force. The military, to some degree, is involved with Virgo. The practicality of getting up and going to work and earning your own living is very much about it. And Virgo says, what can I do? What is it that I can be of service, or how can I be of service? So the volunteer system is very much in play here. The whole functioning of the labor force is really tied into Virgo and how we really support each other in that system. So this moon is really tied into a yacht. It is sitting at the apex of a yacht because we have this combination of Saturn and Neptune together at 001 degrees of Aries, and they are sextiling Pluto at 01 degree of Aquarius, and they are sextiling Uranus at 01 degrees of Gemini. Now that would bring Uranus and Pluto into this formation, this kite formation that is going to become exact next year in July. At around that same time, just before that south node hits this point of this new moon. So we have this midpoint that's happening both with Neptune and Saturn. And we have this yacht driving into this new moon at 00 degrees of Virgo. So we have 2 points here that are very, very significant in this new moon. And those 2 points are going to be instrumental in what is determining to break it down and how we're going to adjust to it in our society as new things and new opportunities open up to us and become available. It reminds me of the technologies that began to emerge with the internet in the early 1990s. And we were kind of all afraid of it. Like, how do we operate these things? Like, what does this mean? And of course, now we've fallen into it. The whole workforce has fallen into this journey and connected with the internet in running our day-to-day jobs. So it's kind of interesting that it's all sort of colliding together at these two midpoints in this aspect of an in conjunction between the new moon and the apex of the Neptune Saturn square, or Saturn little kite that's forming. Now, this Saturn Neptune combination is fresh in the new sign of Aries. So this is going to bring about something, a dream that manifests, that's going to come into our reality. And Neptune is full of possibilities, dreams, individual dreams that we have, possibilities of things that can emerge. Like Job, when Job, forget his name, that started Apple sitting in his garage, that just had this dream and began to build and create it. But the workforce here is going to be once again in that, let me figure this out. How does this work? This isn't going to work because Virgo's so negative, and could really be struggling with the whole concept of dealing with new technologies and the breaking down of old technologies and the way we work in the workforce or the way we view things. So there is definitely advancements here because this apex of Neptune and Saturn are plugged into Uranus, which is revolutionary technology, and Pluto, which is very transformative and very determined to stay the course. So it's not going anywhere. Some of these things aren't going anywhere. And these are things that we're going to have to deal with, whether it's new robotics coming on board, whether it's new technologies in the healthcare system, the advancements in healing technology, and the ethics behind them. So we could have huge advancements in individual healing abilities, and new discoveries like, healing of cancer, stem cell, DNA work, and how we're going to adjust to all of that, and if we're going to adjust. And there could be the issues of robotics that actually radicalize the way we function in our society and the way we work. So it's not mainstream, and this yod forms destiny, right? Something that's out of our control, and it acts in a certain way that we don't necessarily know how to solve the problem of it. So it produces anxiety. We feel like we need to react or do something, but we just don't know what that is that we need to react to. And we're pretty petty about it. We're pretty critical about it. And it could mean that there's some sort of sacrifice with this yacht or an adjustment to how we function in our day to day lives. And it's hard to understand. And because it's hard to understand, we don't know, we feel like we're constricted, that it's unsolvable. And it puts us into a bit of crisis mode. Because the one thing that Virgo can do is become a hypochondriac. It can have panic attacks, anxiety disorders, and because things are not running in a consistent order, and we could feel like we're out of control. So we can have a bunch of issues going on here that, it's not supposed to be this way, it's supposed to be this way. And that produces anxiety and anxiousness that I just need to solve this to get this done. So you really need to watch for that anxiousness and that anxiety before it takes over and controls you. So this is a really good new moon to start a new health program, to be on top of your health so you're at optimum capacity to deal with some of the changes that are about to unfold. And sometimes I say that negativity is just, a point of that we don't like something. And so we need to get in shape, as we need to eat properly, look after ourselves. So this is a great way to organize your daily routine, plug into a different way of eating, get organized, and start a new schedule. It's practical, it's full of wisdom, and if you use your common sense, you're most likely going to get through it really quite well. So I want to talk about this Neptune Saturn combination because the two of them together can actually create something very constructive, and they can break down some old ideologies as well or belief systems, but they can also set some up that are pretty immovable because of Saturn there. And this Saturn is the thing that creates it into our reality. Neptune is always there. It's always in our minds. It's always influencing us in some way to deal with our faith or belief or ethics or morality. But it can be challenging. Now, these two are going to sextile, and a sextile is a point of opening up, like an opportunity, like something new is about to be created. And Pluto, of course, is wealth, the transition of wealth and where it's going. And newly in Aquarius is ruled by humanity and the people. And the breaking down of something, the dissolving of the structure, because Neptune and Saturn are together, the whole illusions begin to break up, and we see things in a very crystal clear light. Then they are sextile to Uranus, which brings about a lot of shifts in consciousness and awareness, as many astrologers have been talking about. So this new moon is in this yod, which is challenging to some degree, but it's also square to Uranus. And when we're challenged like this, these things come about suddenly, like they're not there and then they're there. So there's sudden shifts, there's disruption, there's chaos, sudden changes that are just electrifying to you and you think, oh, it just came out of the blue. I didn't realize that this was the truth of the matter. Like your husband comes home or your wife comes home and says, okay, I'm done. And out the door they go, and you go, I just never seen it coming. So this can also bring out issues and bring out things that were otherwise hidden because Neptune hide things and we have the sextile. So we get this leakage of information and secrets can start to emerge and come into clarity and awareness that triggers us to go in a totally different direction. So we're sort of like being popped into this, I get it. The light bulb came on. But it can really have a big punch in our direction, in the new direction we're going, because it's a new moon. So you can always, and we're heading into eclipse season, which is always going to trigger things in a different direction. So we have this revolutionary, radical energy that is infiltrating into the labor force. So we could really see some unexpected strikes, uh, unexpected volatility, and uprisings, revolutionary kind of energy emerging. And protests maybe about the advancements in the healthcare system, advancements in robotics that could very well be taking over some of the workforce. So there's these ethical components that are in this, which is going to change our daily routine, as it did in the early 90s with the technologies emerging with the internet and how that changed the way we work in society. So Saturn brings a sense of stability in some ways, but Neptune is dissolving that. And what I really find interesting is Saturn really pulls in the government and the dissolving of or the lessening of government could happen in this instant, or the delusion around the functionality of how our governments are operating. Are they operating for the people or the individual perks of becoming the prime minister or the leader of a country? Now, this new moon is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is in the sign of Leo still at 12 degrees. That is still, he's still in his shadow, and he's not going to break any ground until the 25th of July. So we're still reflecting here and we're lagging a bit behind. So we're not fully aware yet of everything that is emerging because we're still in the dark of this really dark moon that's happening. So Leo is about our goals, our aspirations, our desires, our ambitions, and our identity. And we are saying to ourselves, what do I really want? So if you're really feeling stuck, that you're in between things, that you don't know which direction to go, fate could really step in here and throw you into a different place entirely, a new idea, a new job opportunity. And yet we're still in this space in this dark moon to say, we're rethinking things, we're repositioning, we're maybe organizing, but you really got to ask the question, what do I really want to do? What fulfills me and makes me happy in my life? And am I healthy? What do I need to do to make myself healthy? So this moon is pretty radical in many ways. We could have sudden storms, electrical outages, problems with the internet, and And yet it's pushing us like hard into discovering something different that we want to work at and something different that we want to sink our teeth into and create something different just for ourselves. So I want to just touch on Venus. Venus is sitting at 27 degrees of Cancer. She's coming into her opposition to this Pluto energy, and we're in conjunct between Pluto and this new moon. So things are extreme here. You know, don't hang on too tight because that could be detrimental to you. Change, transform, try and go with the flow. But we have this really extreme desires. You know, we're passionate here, and it's very polarizing. And it especially can be polarizing for individuality and goals, but also within the family and the family structure. Similar to how COVID, you know, was with how polarizing it actually was. And it's squaring to Chiron and Eris. So it's really radicalizing again this push to seek something different, to not be left out, to heal the wounds if you're one of the ones who are left out in the family or the family dynamic, or feeling like you're left out in those circumstances. And the moon and the sun, because the moon's here, are ruling this Venus. And so this is a time of refreshment, right? And what can we do to be of service around the home or within the family? And to decrease the polarization that's happening in a very practical, sensible way. And if someone is left out, we perhaps need to start fresh with that individual and move forward. It's also ruling Jupiter, and Jupiter now sits at 16 degrees of Cancer and is also involved in this square to Sears, which is really saying, are we nourishing ourselves? Are we fulfilling each other's needs? Are we supportive of each other within the family or the tribal unit? But you know, Jupiter is trying to the North Node, and we're really ready to move on, and it's sextiling the South Node. So there's acceptance here, acceptance of what has been shed or let go. And so we have a lot happening with this moon. It's best if you are proactive in some way, but try to keep the energy calm. Take some deep baths, go for a walk, eat some nutritional food, and be aware of what's happening around you. So that's it for this new moon that's ready. It's dark. It's so dark. And it's time to shed with the dark moon like this and get ready to plant some new seeds. And sometimes that pushes us over the edge. Somebody pushes us over the edge and we go, okay, I get it. Let's move on. And that's what a new moon is all about. So join me again, and hopefully I'm back on track getting organized with this Virgo new moon. And you can catch me on Facebook or on my website at spiritualjourney.ca or on YouTube. So I hope you have a great day. Bye.